Welcome into Eye.Talk.Tech, where we explore the intersection of eye care and technology. I'm your host today, Dr. Griffin Christensen, and we are going to be talking about memberships, not necessarily the buzzword, but a practical tech-enabled way to make care predictable for patients, stabilize clinic revenue, reduce insurance dependence, building recurring income. All sounds like good stuff, and my job here is going to be to ask some of the questions you fellow clinicians might have out there. Joining us today is Jordan Comstock, founder and CEO of BoomCloud, and a leading member of a platform that helps do all this for both dental and optometry practices. Jordan, first of all, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here with you. I'm excited to learn more, myself about this topic. But, first off, when I hear about memberships, I'm kind of curious what the response is just when you bring that up right off the bat. We think about memberships for health services, maybe it's going to the gym. Those are different spots. And what's kind of the typical response you get if someone's not familiar with this topic?
I mean, patients or doctors?
Both.
Both.
But yeah.
When we talk to doctors about, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years now, so it sounds boring to me if I hear it. But if you're hearing it for the first time, for most practice owners, it's intriguing, right? Because it's a new concept, especially in optometry, for a business strategy. So a lot of practice owners are intrigued and really curious about how it can help their, run their practice and become more profitable. Patients are getting it, right? Because if you think about a subscription or a membership model, it's very common in the consumer world. Just go to Amazon, join Amazon Prime or Costco or Netflix. So for patients, it's actually budget-friendly option that just clicks for them. So that's kind of how we see it, and when we talk to those types of groups.
Yeah, and so you guys started out more in the dental space. Is this
Yeah.
something that's maybe more established in that space and is newer to optometry? And tell me about, sort of that pivot to servicing optometry clinics as well.
Yeah, so patient membership programs, at least in my career, we started in dental because my background is dental. I used to manage my dad's dental lab. So we made like crowns and bridges and all that stuff. And so my background was dental and I knew all the dental people, right?
Sure.
But around 2020, and this is no pun intended, organically we started getting optometrists coming to us. I think one dentist was like a friend with a few optometrists. And I got on a podcast years ago, back in 2020, and we started, helping more and more optometrists create patient membership programs. But it hasn't been until, I would say, a couple years ago where we started really focusing on it because it makes sense, even more so than dental, because over 63% of the U.S. doesn't have vision insurance, right, or any type of program. So it's bigger than dental. So the total addressable market, right, to attract membership patients is larger in optometry.
Yeah, when did that click for you? Right around that 2020 time? And was that
Yeah,
kind of a light bulb
seriously.
moment or?
Yeah, 2020, we just organically, optometrists started reaching out to us, and our website's more geared for dental back then. Now we have pages for optometrists because, yeah, it just makes sense. And we started talking more and more to optometry practice owners and group practice owners in optometry, and then just networking here locally. And I've spoken a couple times at a few events that have worked really well. And so back 2020 started emerging, and then we're really seeing more and more practice owners take it more seriously today,
Sure.
which is kind of fascinating. Yeah, so it seems to be a few years behind dental, but it'll, I think, adopt really fast.
Yeah, with the addressable marketplace, it sounds like that's going to be a good
Yeah,
move for you guys. For maybe the
yeah.
optometrist who doesn't live in the software world exactly, that they'll understand the membership concept at least, certainly on a high level. But BoomCloud, on the software side of things, what is it that your platform offers, and what is the benefit
Yeah.
of the membership plan for the member and the doctor?
Yeah, so our technology is simply a platform that or a software tool that helps practice owners build, launch, manage, automate, and scale a patient membership program, right? So they can track all the subscriptions, they can track the benefits received, they can track payments and all that fun stuff, right? Um, and then we have like a patient marketplace that educates patients on membership plans and drives them to our practices. So it's really a software tool to really help organize and scale these patient membership programs. On like the dental end, we see practices scale from 0 to thousands of patients that are turning into members, right? And generate hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in recurring revenue for the practice. Same thing we're seeing in optometry. We have practices that initially scaled from nothing to 100 to 300 to 500, and they just keep growing it, right? Because it is a need that serves patients. It's a benefit for patients because they get a budget-friendly option for care, both on dental and optometry. And then they also, for the practice gets to be able to reduce dependence on insurance companies if they're too reliant. I know a lot of dental practice, they get too reliant on insurance and they start getting their margins are cut like crazy. Same thing here when we talk to optometrists, if they're in network with too many PPOs or insurance providers, it really can wreak havoc on the margins of the practice and the morale of the practice, because it's
Sure.
not easy working with insurance companies. I tend to think they're the worst partner in healthcare because they hurt your profit margins, they kill your cash flow, and they jeopardize the relationship with the patient because the patient thinks, well, if my insurance can't cover it, then it's your fault.
Yeah.
Optometry office or dental office, right? So it's confusing. It's like, oh man, a third party confusing. So a program is really clean, it's budget friendly for patients, it helps generate predictable recurring revenue for the practice. Patients tend to spend 2 to 3 times more when they're a member because of the loyalty mindset. If you just take a step back and look outside of optometry, look at Costco. Why does Costco have a membership model, right?
Mm.
Because they know it's designed to help convert and get people paying more for things, right? Same thing for Amazon. Amazon had a report that when you become a Prime member, you actually spend 7 times more than a non-Prime member, right? So that's the power of memberships, and it's a loyalty program, right? And the patients save, and the practice generates recurring revenue and predictability, right? So those are some of the benefits, and our software
Yeah.
manages all that. It makes it really clean and simple to launch and scale a patient membership program.
So if I was a patient, if I was on the other side of things here, and I'm walking into an optometry clinic,
Yeah.
and I'm not currently a member, what is that onboarding process going to look like for me? And what are we going to talk about is going to be offered and included in that package from a
Yeah.
patient's perspective?
Yes, absolutely. So most of the time, if you're a patient, you come in and you've never heard of a membership program before, most of our successful practices will have signage, right, in the office that said, no insurance, no worries, right? Something like that. And typically, either check in or check out, they'll ask, you have insurance or whatever it may be, or managed care. And the patient will either say yes or no, and then you just simply educate the patient. Hey, we actually just launched a new patient membership program, and you get X, Y, and Z. It's only $30 a month per patient, and your exams are included, and you get some discounts on frames, right? So that's typically what you see in these optometry plans, right? In fact, I can pull up a doctor here. I'm actually a member of it with my daughter, and
Well, that's
I'll
a
tell
good
you.
testament.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
My daughter was in school. She's 11. I'm a girl dad, so I'm just pulling up their plans so we can talk about them real quick. I have 3 girls. My oldest is 11, and she was complaining about not being able to see the uh, the whiteboard, right?
Sure.
And her teacher's like, you probably should go take her to get an exam. It's probably very common how to get patients when the teacher's like, yeah, she probably needs glasses. So we walk in. It's Dr. Gray here in Lehi, Utah. And, of course, I helped them set up the plan
Yeah.
and managed it. But I'm a huge believer in this. My daughter, though, we went in. I said, we're going to sign up for your monthly membership plan. I think it's like $30 a month. And typically what it gets is, let me just scroll down here. We save 400. We get over $400 of value with it, right? Is the marketing. So I get a free yearly exam, free retinal exam, $120 off of frames. or frame allowance once per year is what these guys do. 40% off of lens packages, and we have unlimited amounts of that, as well as 5% discount on in-office supplies, 25% off of sunglasses, and 20% off of neuro lenses, right? There's also other plans. So that's the standard plan. There's a
Sure.
premium plan. Go ahead.
No, it was just agreeing with you. Just said sure.
Yeah. So we walk in the office, I join, and my daughter gets glasses and she cries because she didn't realize how blurry everything was. And she cries of gratitude, right?
Yeah.
That she was grateful that we were able to join the membership plan and get her glasses, right? So
Yeah.
for my daughter, like it was pretty cool seeing that. And Dr. Gray's like, can I, my daughter messaged, she's like, I'm crying that I'm so happy because I can see now. And I texted Dr. Gray this. And he's like, can we use this for a patient testimonial? I'm like, absolutely, man. Like, you made my daughter's day. She can see, right?
Yeah.
So patients all over the country are like that, right? That most of them, they get used to seeing blurry, right? Until they go in and then, join a membership plan, get some benefits on frames and things like that, they see again and they're grateful, right? In most cases. So that's kind of the patient experience, and it's
Yeah.
really simple to talk about this to patients. And most of them get what a membership program is these days. We're looking at how many patients are searching for this type of care across the nation, and it's growing month over month. There's millions of patients looking for some type of program like this across dental and optometry. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, and then to look at the other perspective, if I'm a doctor that's looking into this and has some question, where is this going to sit in my technical stack of all that we have
Yeah.
an EHR, we have
Yeah.
scheduling, we have communications. How does it fit in there? And you talked about the recurring revenue and so forth, but what is this going to offer me in my practice?
Yeah, so the tech stack is simple, right? I swear I have like 30 software programs that run my entire software company.
Sure.
It's kind of funny, right? So software is a big piece of running our businesses, right? Where this sits is BoomCloud can be a standalone outside of everything, right? If it, meaning it integrates into your marketing stack is how I look at it. So BoomCloud will integrate into your website so patients can sign up online. Creates reports so you can look at how many subscribers you have. We have a dashboard that will show how many active members, how much recurring revenue is generated, who's coming up for renewals and things like that, right? So think of it as like if you own your own insurance company. It's not insurance because insurance is risk bearing and has different regulations, right? But essentially look at it as a hub, a patient benefit hub, right, where you can log in and verify that they are an active member. Where like in dental, and I know probably optometry too, like most people, if they have insurance, you're waiting on hold for like 45 minutes to verify insurance. I don't know if that's sounds familiar in
I think that's
optometry.
a common experience. Yeah.
It's a common experience everywhere. Every healthcare industry I talk to, they're like, we got to wait for 45 minutes and verify, and it's just kind of clunky. So if you think of where BoomCloud sits, it's part of the marketing engine, in my opinion, of any practice, because you need to have a good inbound new patient flow coming in so they
Yep.
can join, and then it's for your existing uninsured patients, right? So you can get them to join and commit and become loyal. So it sits in the marketing stack, is how I look at it. But yeah, can be used standalone. It's so simple. Most practices will download reports and look at those each month. But we display a dashboard so you can see how many active members and the recurring revenue. It's pretty simple.
And if someone, starts utilizing this, let's say an OD pilots the program for 90 days to see how it's working out.
Sure.
What are they going to want to look at to see how it's working and kind of prove out the concept? What might that look like for a practical example of a real clinic?
Yeah, so I typically tell practice owners this is a long term business strategy because it's dealing with compounding recurring revenue, roughly between $20 and $35 a month, right? So it compounds over time. So 90-day, if you were to look at a 90-day pilot, I would suggest and tell practice owners to make sure that you're at least breaking even on the costs of operating the program, which is typically about 12 patients. in a 90-day
Yep.
period. What I see on both dental and optometry, but we can show you like how much it's maturing really quickly on the dental side. And we see practices signing between 10 and 50 patients a month to these membership programs, right? Same thing on optometry being an emerging market with this type of business strategy. We see similar, right, where practices are starting to scale these membership programs, from a few patients a month to, 10, 20, 50 a month, because they're getting used to the skills it takes to talk about this, right? But I would say if you're doing a 90-day pilot, like reach your break-even point as quickly as humanly possible, which is typically about 12 patients to cover like
Yep.
our software costs and everything. And then from there, keep building it, because predictable recurring revenue is a new business strategy for most practice owners. And you almost have to think like a software company now, right? Because my whole business is recurring revenue. You got to think about, okay, how much does it cost to acquire a membership patient, and then how long does it take for them to pay off that acquisition cost, right? These business metrics that we look at every day. And then how long do they stay with the practice? Because this is a long-term strategy and a long-term loyalty program for the patients. We see that when patients become members, they stay with a practice far longer than they would if they were with an insurance provider, right? So when you think about it, membership patients are probably the most profitable type patient, because they commit with their wallets and they commit with a subscription, right? And you get enough of those, you can generate 10, 15, 20 $1,000 a month and beyond. We have some practices in dental that are generating over $2 million a year in recurring revenue just from their membership plan, right? So these things could scale if you do them right, right? And be a wonderful benefit from managing your office, where there's feast and famine months in healthcare. We're trends where more patients come in one month and
Yep.
less in others. In dental, they call it Sucktember, because September is like a really down month. I don't know if it's similar in optometry. Maybe because
We haven't
school. I
thrown
don't
that
know.
phrase out at my clinic, but I can relate to the phenomenon, right? August is
Yeah.
a mad rush, and then
Yep.
sometimes we take a step back in
It's
September.
it's typically because school season's
Yep.
starting and everyone's getting in. So what you want to do running any type of business is make the cash flow predictable, and that's what these membership programs do at scale. Which is why I say it's a long-term commitment strategy, right? Because when you do it right, you can be like there's a practice up in Idaho who literally they generate $50,000 a month from their patient membership program on day one of each month, meaning
Yep.
they don't have to work up and bill and get to their break-even cost of managing their practice. They literally, it exists on day one automatically, because the payments are subscriptions, automatic,
Yep.
right? So um, and that predictable recurring revenue helps you sleep better at night if you're a practice owner. I run a business. I know how challenging it can be to manage a payroll. So another strategy that practice will use is they'll say, let's set these membership program payments up on the 1st and the 15th of each month, so there's a cash infusion right before payroll periods, typical payroll periods. So giving the practice owner a peace of mind when it comes to cash management, right? So there's a lot of cool benefits when it comes to managing these membership programs. My favorite one, though, is when it comes to the valuation of a practice. Predictable recurring revenue in any industry is valued at a higher multiple. And what that means is if I have a business that has $1 million in recurring revenue, for example, I could sell it to the next buyer, right, if I'm retiring, for 5 to 10x the multiple, right? So that's how business valuations work with predictable recurring revenue, right? So if you're really building your business and one day want to sell, this is a great strategy to help build and increase value in the practice. Another thing that happens too on those transitions when a practice owner is exiting is a lot of patient attrition happens, because they're like, well, I liked Doctor So and so, and he's not here anymore, so I'm going to go find another office, right? That happens a lot, right? So these membership programs help create that loyalty for the new doctor coming in if you're selling your practice. So there's a lot of business benefits to these things.
Certainly. Well, there's a reason we see so many software platforms and so forth going to this
Yeah.
subscription type of it. It's not
Yeah.
random happenstance. There's a fundamental business reason.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, in terms of this is a paradigm shift though for an optometric clinic, for most optometric clinics at this stage,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And so how do you help clinics navigate, setting up this, you walked us through the example with your daughter there in particular. That's one way I'm sure this membership can play out. But how do you help clinics set up their version of the membership and
Yep.
maybe merging the software into their workflow, training staff, and how does that side of things look for you guys?
Yeah, so we have a customer success team here at BoomCloud that helps educate, and really what starts with the plan creation process, which is really critical. Most practices will either overcharge for their membership plan or undercharge. We don't want to do either of those, right? We want to get it just right. So over the years, we've developed a formula, a financial formula based off of the household income of your zip code, right? So our team will look at that, and we know that it's if you're in a population of under 1 million, we know that the price range that you should be offering is going to be little less than 0.5% of that median income, right? The yearly subscription, right? And then we can break it down from there. So we know the fastest growing, and let's reword that. The most profitable and fastest growing membership programs use that type of formula, and we help with that. We've got calculators, and we're now using AI to help automatically do that when practices sign up on our software. We analyze their zip code, the household income, and pull that data and craft the plan systematically, right? So that's one thing we do, and that's the foundation, right? Get the plan right. If you get the plan right, you can scale this to hundreds or even thousands of patients in your area, right? Depending on where you practice, right? The next thing that we do is we train the team on how to operate the software. It's really, really simple, and we make sure it's integrated in the website so patients can sign up online, as well as the office staff is educated on how to enroll a patient and what questions to ask and verbiage stuff, right? So we have a whole training on that our customer success team, will train, but then they'll give videos and resources, like marketing resources, flyers, and things like that you can put in the office to give and educate patients. And then I'd say the last thing that we're doing was we're building the patient education marketplace, where we're now we have a website called thepatientmarketplace.com that we're writing articles about optometry care and how to save, and what do I do if I don't have insurance, and we're writing all these articles, and we're getting them ranked across Google, and then right on the articles we have a link to say to take the patient on how they can save on optometry, and then from there they type their zip code, we capture their information, and then show them a optometrist practice in their area that has a membership plan, right? So that's the last way that we do. And then we have several products that we're working on. We have a small business outreach software add-on that will help practices reach out to small business owners and educate the business owners on joining the membership program and offering it as an employee benefit. So that's what I do with all my employees here at BoomCloud. Is we use for dental care, we use Dr. Anderson at Essential Dentist down the street here in Lehigh, who uses BoomCloud, and BoomCloud pays so all my employees get dental benefits, right, through the membership plan through Dr. Anderson, and then we use Dr. Colin Gray for optometry, and all my employees get a vision care package as a benefit for working at BoomCloud. So you can do the same thing for any industry, right?
Yeah.
Where most practices will target like restaurant owners or contractors or freelancers or whoever, right? Marketing agencies, with anyone with employees, right? That needs to attract and retain employees and can offer a benefit package to their employees. That is another way to grow these membership programs that can do really well, because we know the numbers. Over 63% of the United States doesn't have vision insurance, right? So there's a large market, every zip code, that you can attract and get on your membership plan.
For those, 47% that maybe do have vision coverage and they
Yeah.
come in and they want to maximize those benefits, do you offer a tier that integrates a membership for them in addition to that, or what's that look like for many of the practices you work with?
You can absolutely do that. We have a lot of our dental practice that will do that because patients, especially in dentistry, will hit their maximums pretty quickly, you know. And I would imagine you see the same thing on the optometry side. So a lot of practices will create like a supplemental membership plan for after they hit their maximums just to help the patient out more. That definitely is a strategy that you should implement and offer. And more, you know, practices are offering the standard care package that I the first one that my daughter's on. And there's like a premium, like a middle package that's a little bit more discounts, a little bit higher price, and then there's like dry eye memberships that you know, practices are offering. If you're a really ambitious practice owner, you may even offer Botox. I know Dr. Colin Gray offers a Botox membership plan at his optometry. In dental, it's like the hottest thing. It's like, well, offer Botox because, you know, you're already messing. You already know the anatomy of the face, right? So that's a hot membership plan offering that a lot of practice owners are offering to their patients.
The aesthetics tier. Yeah,
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
and you know, this is, as you mentioned at the outset, this is not insurance. So in
No.
terms of security, compliance, discussing that, what you know, protection should ODs expect? What does that conversation look like? You know, with
Yeah.
members that are signing up.
Yeah. So typically you don't want to call it like Dr. Smith's insurance program because it's not insurance.
Yep.
Insurance is a risk-bearing model, and this is not. This is how I look at this and how most people look at this. It's a direct cash pay model. It's a fee-for-service model is what they. I don't know if you use fee-for-service in optometry, or I'm speaking a different language, but it's a cash pay model that just happens to be predictable and recurring, right? Where insurance is risk bearing and I pay into the pool, you pay into the pool, but I'm not getting direct benefit. Neither are you of that pool, right? It's kind of funky. I don't like insurance. I think it's one of the worst business models for the providers and the consumers. For the people that own the insurance companies, it's pretty killer. It's an awesome business, but we're not talking about that. So yeah, so by offering a membership program, don't call it insurance. You never want to call it your own insurance plan. It's a membership plan or a cash model, right? So typically in most states, they require you to say this is not insurance in all your marketing, right? On the website, on the flyers and things like that, right? And then there's some certain states that require like a certain type of an agreement. So like here in Utah, you need what is called a retainer agreement, which is actually best practice for most states. And it's funny because most states will start to copy each other. So you need a retainer agreement, which essentially, you know, outlines what the patient gets in the plan and the terms and all that, right? So we have templates that we've had attorneys draw up that practice could use as a template, right? And then edit it with their own legal team if they need to. So we have all that in our resources that helps practices get started pretty quickly.
Ramp them right off the bat. One, and you guys, like you said, are still relatively new to optometry, started to be
Yeah,
established and entrenched here. But where do you
yeah.
see the product going in the next year or so? And you mentioned already the role that AI is playing and kind of giving a starting plan for practices that join your service. But what role do you think technology is going to play in the coming future for you guys as well?
Yeah, well, AI is, we're a tech industry, and AI is really helping us develop faster than I've ever seen before. And I've been running this company since 2016, right? And we're a bootstrap company, so we don't have investors. We're customer funded. So that's something that's unique about my company is we only listen to our customers because they're technically our investors.
Sure.
Right? Where most of these tech companies they go get this big VC funding
Yeah.
and you know it's kind of a mess. So we're customer funded, but and we're seeing AI really help us develop faster for our customers and better, right? With better security, better compliance, all that fun stuff that you got to do when you're developing technology. But I think for our product, you're going to see more and more practices in optometry offer these membership programs. So it's smart to get ahead of it before the industry catches up. I've seen this in dental where the practices that started several years ago that have $50,000 a month membership programs and beyond are way ahead of the current practices that are just getting started today in dental. We're seeing the same thing in optometry, right? Where if you're an optometrist in your local market and you're the first one in your market to offer a membership program and attract those patients, what typically happens? Well, you lock those patients
Yep.
into your practice more than the other optometrists, right? So you can really build a stable practice with this strategy. So I that's what I see with this technology helping practices. And then from like our product offering standpoint, you're going to see it's going to become a lot easier to attract patients through just online through our own patient marketplace and the practice's core marketing function. And then with small business outreach, I think as we continue developing and building those products, again, it's going to be easier and easier for practices to go to their local market and attract those types of patients who pay recurring revenue and end up spending more than the average insured patients, and even the average cash patients. We looked at this on the dental side. We looked at 3 cohorts: cash, PPO or insurance or managed care, and memberships. Memberships beat all the other 2, right?
Right.
And most practice owners are like, well, cash patients are the best. They are, but membership programs are way better because they spend 3 times more, and you get a predictable revenue stream from it, right? Where you don't get that with cash patients, and typically acceptance to care increases on membership patients versus PPO or insurance patients and cash patients. Cash patients actually have the least conversion rate when it comes to, when you give them a treatment plan or care that they need to accept, right? Cash patients typically say no more often because of the cash burden, where membership plan patients, they get a discount and it's a little bit more budget friendly for them. They understand what they're getting. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in the future of optometry and in this topic. You're just going to see practices adopt this, go wild with it, and really lock in their market, which is kind of cool.
It's your supercharged cash pay patient, if you will.
Yes, yeah, that's a probably better term for it, is a supercharged cash patient, because it's the category of cash patients, right? You got that predictable revenue, and it's a packaged offering that's clear, concise, and easy to understand for patients.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for your insights on this
Yeah.
topic and walking us through what memberships look like now and what they're going to continue to look like for ODs in this space. For the OD that's maybe considered this or is considering after listening to us here, what direction would you point them to see maybe a demo and learn more about BoomCloud here?
Yeah, so I would go to boomcloudapps.com. You can schedule a demo to see how our software can work in your practice. And we have a ton of content that's educational as well if you're kind of in the research stage more, where you can go to we have ebooks on our website. If you go to our blog that has articles, you can type in optometry or see, we have optometry articles getting published every day. But on those articles, we have ebooks that you can download that they map out the strategy based off of, how I've helped thousands of other practices scale these membership programs. So you can download the ebook, but I suggest scheduling a demo because you can really get a one-on-one with my team, and they can really educate you on your practice specifically. So boomcloudapps.com.
To all our listeners, thank you. And if you have any thoughts on your experiences with membership plans, we would love to hear them. If there's anything you want to see on the show coming up in the next subsequent episodes here, we'd love to hear about that too. And if you're getting any value from the show, we would sure appreciate you sharing it with your network. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Eye.Talk.Tech. Thanks so much, Jordan.
Rock on.